Time now for sports on 104.7 The Cave. Here's Ned Reynolds.
Mike, the intern Ned Reynolds in the studio, back to work. It's Monday, and how'd you feel about the Chiefs' job in Germany yesterday?
What a strange game that was. Completely different from anything that I expect, except for the fact the Chiefs won. I expected them to win that. But, Mike, we both had it as a high-scoring, free-for-all game.
We definitely went the over of 51. I know that for sure.
Yeah. I had a 41-31 Chiefs, and it ends up 21-14. The pattern of the game really puzzled me a little bit because Kansas City, and they have a habit of doing this. You've seen them play many times. The fact is they come right out and punch a team right in the face. Go down, score, no problems at all, and then say, show us what you got. And seem to, I don't think this is the case, I can't believe that it is, but they seem to take the foot off the pedal. They start playing conservative football. They did. Heck, Patrick Mahomes threw for under 200 yards yesterday, 185 yards. Tua wasn't a whole lot better. Tagovailoa had, 193, something like that. But the fact is, they didn't play with a lot of aggressive football that you would have expected. I think Kansas City is relying on what I think is a really, really top-level defense. Their defense, Mike, when you take a look at the way they play, those guys are quick. How about Tyreek Hill? Had all these things to say before the game, and what did he do yesterday? I think he had 10 catches, but he was virtually out of the picture. Never did a thing. He also coughed up that fumble that was really the difference in the ballgame, that the Chiefs returned for, 45, 50 yards for a touchdown on the lateral and so forth. You know what I'm talking about. But the fact that it manifested itself in the way that it did really surprises me and puzzles me. I do not think that Miami is all that great a team. They're not bad, but they still have a ways to go before they're a contender. The Chiefs, I think, are a contender. I think they're maybe arguably the best team in the NFL. And they showed it yesterday by just playing a very conservative football game.
And I agree with pretty much everything you said. I thought the defense was amazing. It feels like the offense just doesn't feel like they need to work so hard if the defense can keep them off the field. And just, it was a complete win. And it just blows my mind. We had the game before in Denver, and that team, and then goes to Germany, and it looks like a completely different team.
In a way they did, but in a way they didn't either. And the way they did was they came out and won the game. And won it solidly. I never felt like Miami was going to get back into it, even when they had the ball in the fourth period. They're not going to do anything. But in Denver's case, the Chiefs never really did go out and establish themselves. That's the difference in that ballgame. They didn't do it. They just went out and slogged their way through, didn't appear to be really emotional about it. And Mike, heaven forbid this happens, but that's going to catch up with them somewhere along the line against a good team. They have Philadelphia coming in next, but they also have a week off before that happens. And that'll be, the whole manifestation of that is going to be very interesting, the way it all plays out. They have other tough teams to play. Cincinnati, Buffalo, they played each other last night with the Cincinnati winning it. They're both solid teams that can light up the scoreboard. Can the Chiefs match that if they have to? They haven't shown a penchant for having to do that. But we will see.
They're going to have to do it against the Eagles Monday night because the Monday night game, or the Eagles like to ramp up. Yesterday's game against the Cowboys is a good example of how the Eagles are more of a slow build versus they come out and knock you in the mouth team like the Cowboys are. So, yeah, we're going to have to start matching those things, but it's going to be a nice week of relaxation before that Monday night game.
The thing that the Chiefs have that almost none of these other teams have is that overwhelming speed in the backfield, defensive backfield, not offensive, defensive backs. Philadelphia's D-backs are pretty good. I don't think they can match Kansas City's, but Philadelphia's offensive line can. They gave Jalen Hurts a lot of time in the game, and that's ultimately what proved to be the difference yesterday, I thought. Hurts is a cool customer. He is not flashy, but he does a nice job. This will be a very fascinating game, just like the Super Bowl game was, although I doubt very much that it's that high scoring. But, hey, that's down the line. We have a long way to go before that happens.
We do got a long way to go, and again, we got a week off now because it's the bye week, so enjoy it. I was really, really, really hoping the K-State Wildcats could eke one out against Texas, went for the win at the end and didn't make it.
It was a close game.
That was a great game.
And I don't think that it really hurts Kansas State all that much in the bowl. They're going to get a good bowl game.
Yeah, I think so.
I think Texas will too. Texas is pretty good. But what's a 3-point difference? Is that what it was?
Yeah, it was 3. They were down 3, and they could have kicked the field goal and sent it to overtime, but they're like, nope, screw this. We're going to win this thing. And I love that mentality.
Oh, yeah.
It just sucks when it goes down the way it went down on Saturday, for sure.
Well, the fact of the matter remains, surprises there weren't really any in terms of upsets. Well, there's one big one. But I did think that Missouri played commendable football against a very good Georgia football team. Held them close for a while, but I don't think, in my opinion, ever threatened to win the game, but lost it 30-21 to the Bulldogs. Bulldogs are pretty good. Now, I think Missouri is too. Missouri's going to play Tennessee this week up in Columbia, Missouri, and that will be a very, very big challenge. But if the Tigers can hold their own against the Bulldogs, then they can certainly give the Volunteers from Tennessee a very tough time. Alabama and LSU, that's a big win for the Crimson Tide. You know, Mike, I was telling some buddies of mine, this is funny, the media and the way they kind of steer your thinking in a way, especially in athletics. None of them like Alabama, and none of them like Nick Saban. So when they lost to Texas, there's this big, they're done. Hey, throw them out, they're gone. Saban's lost his control and all this sort of thing. That's the only game they've lost. They beat LSU 42-28 on Saturday in a huge, huge win. Alabama is probably going to be there and play Georgia for the Southeastern Conference Championship. The way things are shaping up right now, the Tide is a pretty good football team. Oklahoma did lose to Oklahoma State in what for now was the final Bedlam game. Because after all, Oklahoma goes to the SEC next year and Oklahoma State stays in the Big 12. Notre Dame losing to Clemson, bit of a surprise. I didn't think the Irish would go down to the South Carolina and lose that game, but they did. The biggest upset of all was the Service Academy teams. Air Force Academy's undefeated, and number 20 in America, and Army, which hasn't beaten anybody this year, goes out to Colorado Springs and beats them 23-3. Now, how does that happen? How do you figure that's going to be the case? Well, that's just it. You never can tell. The bowl rankings for this week will come out tomorrow night. Should be no change in the top order of things, but again, it's all subjective. We'll see what happens.
Yep, it is all subjective, and as I was talking to a guy in the beer line at the concert on Friday, I'll be real happy when it goes to 12 teams, so there's no more argument about it. There was definitely no argument in the season championship for NASCAR this week.
It was won by Ryan Blaney. He did not win the race yesterday in Phoenix, Arizona. This was the final race of the season. And all the drivers, of course, compete no matter what. But there were only 4 in the running for the point championship. And Blaney finished second to Ross Chastain, who was not a contender. Chastain takes the checkered flag, but Ryan Blaney wins the season championship. He had more points than the other 3 contenders, and it was a very, very good race. Pretty big crowd out of Phoenix, not a full house, but a good crowd for the race. Beautiful day, as you might expect in Phoenix, Arizona, good and warm. And it is a points championship for Ryan Blaney, who comes from one of the storied racing families in this country. The Blaney family is quite well known, especially in short track circuits. So indeed, a nice win, and certainly one that's going to resonate very well.
Yeah, it was a pretty exciting way to finish it up. College basketball opens tonight. No more exhibition. Any local teams playing?
All of them do. And this is interesting, and I say all of them. Drury opens next weekend. For real. The Bears and Lady Bears both open tonight, and they both open on the road. The Bears will be at Morgantown, West Virginia, to take on the West Virginia Mountaineers. They're a Big 12 conference team. They are in a bit of a disarray. They have a new coach. And Huggy Bear, Bob Huggins, was summarily dismissed, although he says he resigned. A DUI got him in trouble, but Huggins was ready to resign anyway. He's early 70s and been around a long time. Anyway, West Virginia new coach, they've had discipline problems with some of the players, so some will be sitting out tonight, and the Bears are pretty good. Now, how good they are, we'll find out tonight on the road at Morgantown, but Missouri State and West Virginia opening up. The Lady Bears open up in Little Rock against Arkansas Little Rock, UALR, and while UALR is not a huge name, they are an annual NCAA tournament contender. They're in the thing every year. A couple of years ago, they were in the top 20. And they have a very good program. This will be a good challenge for the Lady Bears. So Missouri State, which lost their exhibition game against Missouri Western, some of the top players didn't compete in that, but nonetheless, it's a little misleading. Both of those teams open tonight, and Mizzou opens up tonight. They'll take on Arkansas Pine Bluff up in Columbia. Many of you are probably not familiar with Pine Bluff. Used to be Arkansas A&M. They are a Division I team. They belong to the SWAC, the Southwestern Athletic Conference. But Missouri will go in as a huge favorite in that one.
A lot of exciting stuff as we start to kind of pass the baton around to winter sports, Ned. You got plenty left to talk about, but we're going to have to wait till tomorrow. Have a great day, and I'll see you mañana.